Hey guys, it's Nikes, and we're officially in the second year of James Gunn's DCU. The new DC universe of interconnected films began last year, well, technically in 2024, but who cares. But we've had 3 projects so far, and today I want to reflect on them and overall see how I think this new universe is doing so far. So let's begin with the first project, Creature Commandos. I think everyone will agree Creature Commandos was an interesting way to start this whole universe, and I don't necessarily mean that in a good way. Now, the small ramble I'm about to go on is not reflective of my opinions of the actual show, so don't take this as me not liking the show. Beginning your new universe with an animated HBO Max show is a bad idea. It's definitely harder to market, and it's harder to get the casual audience interested in an animated show. But what about the hardcore fans? Surely they'll care. Well, I was really looking forward to Superman and the new DC universe in general, and I knew Creature Commandos was releasing, but I didn't bother to watch it until after Superman came out. It's such a weird decision to start a new universe with this, but I did watch it back in September, and now into my actual opinions on this show, it's fantastic. It's conceptually very similar to Suicide Squad, but with monsters. After the previous Suicide Squad incidents, and yes, that original 2016 film is vaguely canon to this new universe, Amanda Waller is no longer allowed to use humans for missions, but they never said she can't use monsters, and those are the Creature Commandos, a new Suicide Squad comprised of monsters. The overarching plot of the show involves the Commandos being sent to protect a princess being targeted by an Amazonian sorceress. As the show progresses, a mystery unfolds revealing why the princess is being targeted. It is a bit confusing as when they catch the sorceress, she reveals Alana, the princess, wants to rule the world, but Rick Flag, who romantically likes the princess, believes it's all a lie and seems to prove it such. But then ultimately in the end, the princess is evil. It gets a bit convoluted towards the end, but this whole princess versus sorceress plot is just half the story, as each episode also focuses on and reveals the past of one of the Commandos. And this is where the show truly excels. Each character is tragic. Each of their stories really humanize all the monsters and show how none of them are really bad people, they were just caught in bad situations. I wasn't expecting the show to make me cry, but each character's story is told so well it's hard to not get emotional. It's the classic James Gunn formula of taking obscure characters and turning them into tragic figures you'll fall in love with. But there's a reason why he keeps doing this. It works every single time. Beyond the story, the rest of the show is fantastic as well. A ton of really fun needle drops, the animation has a real nice style to it, and overall the show is really well animated. It's pretty short with 7 episodes, most of which hovering around the 20-minute mark, but they definitely make the most of that time, and I never felt any story or plot point needed more time. It's a really quick but definitely fun watch with a ton of great humor and heart. I still remain adamant it wasn't the best choice to begin a new universe with, but it is a really good and well done show, and if you haven't seen it, I do recommend it. Next, of course, is Superman, the true starting point of the DCU. And is it good? Well, I've seen it over a dozen times, so that's gotta count for something. This was such a refreshing and fun take of the character, full of that pulpy, colorful energy I was really missing during that DCEU era. Gone is the edgier, brooding, then non-existent Superman. Here is a new Superman who inspires hope in people, myself included. 2025 was a rough year for me, and I was really feeling it in July when this movie came out. But after seeing this movie, I myself also felt inspired to keep fighting, be the best person I could be. It helped me see a light at the end of the tunnel, a new horizon to chase in my life, and this is a sentiment that many shared, and even if it didn't go that deep for many, it still connected with them in a great way. I know people who never gave a damn about the DCEU all of a sudden loving Superman and tuning into Peacemaker and being more interested in DC than ever. So this film definitely accomplished what it set out to do. Once again reinvent Superman for a new era, to bring back interest in the DC brand, and oh boy did it work. As for the core film itself, the story is fantastic. I thought making his parents actually evil was a great way to flip the story of Superman on his head. I'm about to compare this story to the Star Wars sequel trilogy, so if I lose you, grow up. It mirrors Rey's journey throughout the sequel trilogy, believing their heritage is guiding their journey as a hero, but when they're faced with the truth that their heritage is of evil, they must go on a journey of self-discovery where they realize their actions forge their destiny, and your true family are those you surround yourself with and are inspired by to be the best person you can be. Forcing Superman to go through this was definitely one of the best ways to make this character and his journey actually interesting, and I think it was a great change that paid off really well. I also really like the Justice Gang and how they start off as safe corporate heroes, but after seeing the inspiration Superman has become by doing good simply for the sake of doing good, they too do the same thing in the end. And Lex Luthor is such an evil bastard, and I love it so much. He simply despises Superman so much, he does everything he does as an attempt to kill him. And speaking of Lex, Nicholas Hoult was such an amazing casting choice. When it was first announced he'd be playing Lex, I was a bit unsure because he's never really struck me as the villain type, but goddamn, he plays the best to Lex we've ever had. The cast in general is absolutely phenomenal. David Cornsweet is such a perfect look for Superman, and he has great range as both Superman and Clark Kent. Other standout cast members include Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner. Guy is such a dumb character and Fillion plays that really well. And Eddie Gathegi, sorry if I said that wrong, was a surprise hit as Mr. Terrific, another really great comic relief character who also has some really great moments. The score is really damn good. It uses a motif from the original 1978 score, but it works really well as a way to instantly establish they're going for a tone similar to that original film. Look Up is one of the greatest pieces of music I've ever heard. It was my most listened to song last year, and honestly, won't be shocked if it's up there again this year. Overall, you can tell I really love this movie, and I think this was an incredibly strong true start to the DCU. This is the DCU's equivalent to Iron Man, and they did just as, if not more of a good job. The final DCU project from last year was Peacemaker Season 2. Definitely a bit awkward doing a second season to a show that was so firmly planted in the DCU, so much so the fucking Justice League had a cameo at the end, and it definitely is a bit confusing what's canon and what isn't. The general rule is if it's shown or mentioned, it's happened, which retroactively makes the original Suicide Squad pseudo-canon, so yay! Anyways, around the time the season started airing, I binged all of season 1 for the first time and kept up with season 2 weekly. As it was airing, I liked season 2 more than season 1. When I first saw the season finale, I liked season 1 more, but now that time has passed, I'm back to liking season 2 more. My opinion on this season has definitely fluctuated with that finale, but now I'm fully on board with it, so let's talk about it. Peacemaker finds an alternate universe that seems to be his dream world. His father and brother are alive, he's a part of a superhero trio with them, and he's in love with Harcourt. All things that aren't around in his main universe. Rick Flag Sr., the father of Rick Flag Jr., who Peacemaker killed back in the Suicide Squad, is keeping a close tab on Peacemaker and gains interest in the doorway that leads to alternate universes, so Peacemaker is also on the run from him a fair bit. The superhero antics are definitely toned down a lot this season, with a lot of the focus on the characters, and by the characters, I mean Chris and Harcourt mainly. Unfortunately, Adrian, Ads, and Economos all feel pretty sidelined this season. They're still there in every episode and definitely help out a lot, but their characters don't grow nearly as much as they did in season 1. It's even annoying in some cases, as it feels like one of Adrian's only jokes this season is that he claims to know a lot about animals, but he actually knows nothing. And I can't lie, these jokes are funny, they land and work, and they aren't the only jokes with him, but it's so overused that it did start to feel lazy. The Earth X storyline is a lot of fun. From episode 3, people noticed a lack of diversity and extras on Earth X, so pretty early on we knew something was up, but it was pretty crazy when it was actually revealed. I can't show a swastika, can I? Like a Keith in the Night is the greatest episode of superhero television. The reveal that White Dragon is actually a level-headed guy in this universe, not a fan of the government, but just accepts his reality and does the best he can do, was a reveal that definitely made the following scene more gut-wrenching. And when the 11th Street kids pulled Keith off of Chris and Chris yells in pain as he gets flashbacks to when his Keith died as a child, that scream gets me every single time. You really feel for Chris as he's gone through so much, grown so much, and even when he finds the perfect reality, it all ends fucked up. As mentioned earlier, James Gunn loves his tragic characters, and Peacemaker sure is one of them. Now, full Nelson, I was really underwhelmed by at first, especially since it just left a ton of threads from Earth X hanging. Keith clearly survived, Harcourt didn't end up shooting him, and that otherworld Rick Flag Jr. who appeared in episode 3 never appeared again. It was a bit awkward how those were just ignored, and the finale was half a slower character drama, half a setup for another batch of DCU projects, but these character moments are so good, man. The confrontation at the motel is another scene that gets me in the feels, and the subsequent musical number with Oh Lord is just so good. It makes it feel like they're all finally getting a happy ending, only for the true ending, setting up another series star in the 11th Street kids. It was an underwhelming finale at first, but as I've rewatched it a couple of times, I've really come around to it. For the season as a whole, as always, the music cues are great, the intro is phenomenal, season 1's is great, but season 2 just blows it out of the park. And the cast is also phenomenal, especially John Cena. It's so insane to me that 10 years ago, I saw him as a haha funny meme wrestling man, and now he plays one of the best characters in any comic book project. As always, James Gunn has a knack for taking the most obscure characters and turning them into flawed, lovable heroes. Because genuinely, who seriously saw Peacemaker back in the day and thought he could eventually lead the best superhero TV show ever made? I didn't think that because I didn't even know he existed. Overall, great season, great show. Once again, knocked it out of the park. And that is the DCU's first year. What I think overall, it was pretty solid. Superman was of course the standout, a really solid film to begin the new universe. Creature Commandos is a simple, fun, animated show, nothing too different than what we've seen from DC before, but still really well made. And Peacemaker Season 2 is a really strong continuation of the first season and does a good job setting up the future of the DCU. Definitely a good batch of projects, but I do have an issue with these as a collective bunch. These are all James Gunn projects. Now that is not a bad thing at all. James Gunn is one of my favorite directors. I love his style. I love all these projects, but you can't deny they all share a lot of similarities. Flawed nobodies you become sympathetic for as they grow and evolve. That style of humor.
That's not my dick.
Cute animals. I love all those things, but all the projects this year sharing those made it pretty clear Gunn was very heavily involved in all of these. And while that's cool, a part of the appeal of a shared cinematic universe like this is that ideally each project will have a different director who can bring something different to the table. And 2026's projects will definitely be like that, but 2025's projects all being helmed by Gunn definitely made them kind of blend together in ways. It absolutely makes sense. This was the beginning of this new universe. I know Gunn wanted to spearhead it to make sure it has a solid start, and it did. And as I said, this year will have a lot more variety as Gunn's next project, Man of Tomorrow, doesn't release until 2027. Thanks for watching. Did you like the DCU's first year? Let me know down below. These videos include a fun Peacemaker edit I did a few months ago, and the other details the DC projects coming out this year, along with all other superhero projects, so make sure to check those out. As always, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.